Hello and welcome to DCP SideQuest episode number 37, kicking the week off right. Right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Right. Left.
Right.
Left. Right. Quarter circle
Actually,
forward.
I have not been having a great week, guys.
What happened, Briar?
Bad
The week's
stuff's
only
been
just
going on.
begun.
I know. It turns out I had just finished my mission where I had killed all of the Metroids, except for one sole Metroid who hatched right from the egg and immediately bonded with me. So I couldn't bring myself to kill it. Right?
Symbiosis.
Yeah. So what I decided to do was bring it to a research center so they could study, this kind of friendly Metroid. I say friendly in quotes.
Yeah.
But then, as soon as I left the research center, space pirates come and kill everybody and abduct the Metroid.
Space pirates?
Space pirates.
What were they thinking?
They want to use the Metroid to their own evil ends.
Unacceptable.
Unacceptable. And so, therefore, I have returned to Planet Zebes to destroy the space pirates.
Man,
and kill the Metroids.
this just makes me super angsty over the fact that we haven't heard any more Metroid news for the new installment, man.
Yeah.
But if you hadn't have been weak at the beginning and you had have just killed the Metroid, you would have saved this whole problem.
But it hatched out of the egg, and it just was so cute, and it said, Mama.
Oh,
That's how they get you. That's
it had
how
the
they
baby
get you
man
every
eyes.
time.
It's like,
Oh, the baby Metroid eyes are so cute with the white, and they're looking up at you.
Oh, dear.
oh,
True,
man.
Metroid news. Imagine, maybe this year at E3, maybe they'll be like surprise. Although actually, no, I don't think so. I think this year at E3 they'll be like Breath of the Wild 2 again. So maybe I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe they'll drop another teaser with another title and be like, we're still working on it.
Of all the
When did
Nintendo
they
titles,
announce-
of all the Nintendo titles, Metroid is by far my favorite. I love that whole fantasy of it. And
Yeah.
I loved the Wii versions using the Wiimotes and all that to do stuff. I thought that was revolutionary. So when they just posted a title of Metroid, was it Prime 4? Is that what it was? The title? I can't
Yeah, something like that.
Last
I
year,
never
whatever.
played Prime with the Wii. I played it on the GameCube. Was it
Okay.
really good on the Wii?
I loved it. You actually did the
Yeah.
stuff like this to unlock things. For our audio listeners, I'm twisting my wrist.
It looks like he's opening a door with a lock.
You would do that. You'd have to insert the Wiimote and twist it in a certain way to do certain things in the game. And it back then it was mind blowing. Today it's kind of like, what is this? Some VR trick?
Right. When did you play it last?
Oh, 10 years ago, easily. 10
years ago?
Yeah.
Was it in widescreen, 480 widescreen?
Yeah. Wasn't the Wii set up for 480? Yeah.
I think so. 480 widescreen. Did the Wii have HDMI out?
I don't think so. I think it had a breakout cable that was composite.
Yeah. But I bet you can
Yeah.
play it on the Wii U, right?
Probably. Yeah.
So yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
That might be worth going back to and checking out again. It's been
Yeah,
a long
it's-
Did
time
anyone
since
ever
I
play
played some
Metroid
Prime.
Prime Hunters though?
No.
Metroid Prime Hunters was the one on the 3DS or DS? DS, I think it was DS.
I didn't play that one. Yeah.
It was everyone likes to hate on it, right? But it was great because you got to play as the different the hunters as well, and it had online multiplayer. So you had a little arena battles.
Wow.
And I think as someone that is not hugely competitive, I just seem to like these games because no one was really playing it online, so I was actually quite good. And, and I played as the Red Hunter who could go invisible, and I could basically just sit and be invisible the whole game and just snipe people and just kill people all the time. So I was really good at the game. There's probably only about 50 people that played it online, but I was really good, right? And it was
Top 40, definitely.
Yeah.
I definitely. I might even go as far as say I may have been the best in the world at that game, right? But genuinely, it was actually quite good because you use the stylus, and it doesn't sound very intuitive. But you use the stylus to control the camera. So obviously you moved with the analog stick and you moved around, but then you tapped to shoot, and it was actually worked really, really well. So you had all the kind of conventional Metroid experience and stuff, all the exploring, but yeah, it was that was a good game.
Nice. Yeah.
The 3DS and the portable consoles in general, like the Advance, the Game Boy Advance. What is that? What it's called? GBA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
They have, to me, some of the best Metroid games. They have Samus Returns, which has 3D art, but it's still a 2D Metroid game, and it's a remake of Metroid 2 from the Game Boy. And then they also have Metroid 4 on the Game Boy Advance, which is supposedly, I don't know, it's like hit or miss, depends on who you talk to about it. But I mean, I've never played it. I kind of want to. That's one of the things we were talking about before the show was the Pocket analog Pocket.
Yeah.
And that's one of the first things I plan on playing on it.
Explain real quick what that is for anybody who doesn't know what the Pocket is.
Analog Pocket is it's a device that a company called Analog is making that uses an FPGA to not emulate, but mimic original hardware for the Game Boy, the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Color, the Sega Game Gear. I believe which is a bunch of consoles or a bunch of portable hardware like that. And it's supposed to come out this year. What Analog has produced in the past has been amazing. It's like having original hardware with HDMI outs,
Yeah. So
if
you're a retro enthusiast, this is like just a renaissance time to own something like that, right?
Yeah. Well, to me, I have love for the Metroid Prime series, but it doesn't equal in any way the love I have for the 2D Metroids. Like the 2D Metroids are, especially Super Metroid on the SNES.
Oh yeah, that's a classic.
To me is like one of the best games ever made. Like it still is amazing. I've been playing it on the Switch. They have it on the SNES collection on the Switch.
Nice.
And it's still an amazing game. Like it still looks phenomenal. It plays phenomenal. It's just.
I'm gonna have to go back and play that game. Actually, it's been a long time since I played it, and I only had love for it the entire time playing it.
You know what's surprising about it is how much the critical path for the game is how often it's like a secret that you have to unlock to get through the critical path. You have to find like a block that can be only broken with like a certain ability.
Yeah.
And then that gets you through to like the next big portion of the game. It's so bizarre. Like you never see that in a modern game.
In today's standards, that would be like game suicide. Some journalists would be like, you can't progress in this game. It's impossible.
Yeah.
It is, what's really funny about those things though? It is funny like how like modern games and the way that like level design is sort of done to kind of make things almost like super obvious. How that's always made it worse of those things. Because I think back to like when I was playing like Link's Awakening last year. Obviously, it was a remake, right? But it's the fundamental traditional layouts of the game. I think back to like when I used to play those games as a kid. I go through those ones. You're so used to you look at the dungeons in that way, and there's not really much hand holding, and you kind of start exploring the world. But now that we're so used to like all these modern games where everything's told, like I was going back to Link's Awakening, there were a couple of times where I was just lost in a dungeon because I thought I'd gone everywhere, and I was like, what am I missing? I've literally, and there was genuinely a couple of dungeons where I went through every room back to back so many times, like I've literally missed nothing. And then it's because obviously it was top down. There was one part where I just had to jump up something, but it was not telegraphed at all. And I was like, wow, like literally, like modern games have made like babysat me too long. I used to be a good gamer. Look at all these. You know what, right? I'm about to say the controversial statement. All these gamers these days, you guys got it easy, right? You think you're good at games? No. If you can't go back and play these old games,
back and play some Link's Awakening.
Yeah, do it. Do it.
Oh, that game, the item trading system in that game had me completely confused. I had to look it up. I couldn't figure it out. Who am I supposed to go see?
That's
so
amazing.
I can unlock like the next portion. That game was super fun, man. Like
that game.
The remake, unbelievable.
Yeah, I want us to do more of that. So I mean, like I want us to like obviously I guess the main focus right now is like Breath of the Wild 2, but like I genuinely would love to see a Minish Cap in that style. Like Minish Cap is such a fantastic game, and it would perfectly fit that toy style visual. So
was Minish Cap Game Boy Advance?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite. Like I split my Zelda games in like handheld and console, like 3D for like favorites, but like Minish Cap is definitely up there in like my top 5.
Nice. That's another one. I know Breath of the Wild is like unimpeachable in the gaming community right now, but if you put Link to the Past and Breath of the Wild in front of me, You can play one. I'm definitely going Link to the Past.
Yeah.
Like there's
Fair,
no
fair,
doubt.
fair.
Like the art style and the music and like just everything about that game just hits all of my pleasure zones exactly in the right spots.
Do you think it's nostalgia though? That's like the biggest
No,
part?
I think it's just a really fantastic game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like both of them gave unique emotions when playing it. You know how like when you get into a game, there's a certain moment where you feel like you're in the world, and there's this emotion that you can go back to and remember that emotion that you had when playing a game. Yeah, that's why I know a game is like doing its job really good. And I feel like both of those have those unique emotions to them. Like I can think back to Breath of the Wild and have very specific feelings, like farming fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild is, to me, it's a wild game, and I can't wait to see like where some of the innovations that were made in that game are like kind of extracted and like built upon. But there's some things that are so frustrating to me in that game. Like I really hated the main dungeons. Like I really hated them.
The main dungeons
I hated how the weapons would just, you'd use them up basically, or they'd break after a while. And I hated the rain. Like it was so frustrating to be like halfway up, like climbing this like enormous thing, and like you couldn't wait to see what's on top. And it'd start raining, and you just fall down, and then you had to wait for 5 minutes until it stopped raining. Like why? Why would you do this?
That's still part of the adventure.
Yeah, that's part of the adventure.
It
makes you think. Okay, I can't go straight up the mountain. I need to go around, or like find a path that goes up the side of it.
Yeah, I think that sort of bred so many of the stories. Like, I definitely agree with you on the dungeon front. I feel like the dungeons were like the weakest part of Breath of the Wild. The weapon breaking at first, I was like, oh, it was annoying me. But then when you play through, because I realized that you encounter so many cool weapons at such a frequent basis, I was actually like, I was almost kind of glad, because I was like, well, now it's forcing me to go and pick up this other thing. So that I didn't mind so much. But yeah, the adventure thing was always funny, because you'd always look at something and you always try to take the shortest route. You're like, let me just go straight up the cliff.
Yeah.
And then you fail. You're like, let me just try one more time. Maybe it'll work this time. And it still doesn't work. You're like, okay, all right. Let me think about this again. And
reapproach.
It was that sort of but it was genuinely that sort of. I know there's plenty of like sandbox games out there, but for me it was almost like the epitome of like a sandbox experience, because you genuinely have to like use random tools and stuff to actually make those things work.
Utilize the sandbox for you. Yeah.
I can't wait till Breath of the Wild too, because if they refine that formula, I can't. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah. Okay, so do you think Breath of the Wild 2 is going to come out before Metroid Prime 4?
Yes,
I think so, because I think if you look at the way it was announced, Metroid Prime 4 was just a title, and following that, the year later, they said they actually had to start development completely again. So we haven't even seen even a tease of a trailer or anything like that. So
was that last year, Eric, that they said that?
I think it was E3 last year. I think they put out the message. So I think it's going to be. Honestly, I feel like it'll be a couple of years away.
Breaks my heart.
But with Breath of the Wild, you factor in like it's built in like they've kind of got the existing engine, and I guess to a degree, if the trailer's anything to go by, like it may be set in that world, and then they might be to like reuse some of the assets and stuff. But yeah, I honestly I genuinely feel like we might see that a lot sooner. I have absolutely nothing to go on for this. It's just like a speculation, but because of the kind of existing engine, I genuinely feel like we might see that a lot sooner than we might think. Like I could see them being like at E3, give us the big gameplay reveal for it, because for E3 Nintendo, they always have like one marquee game where they make their booth around it and then they show other stuff. I feel like Breath of the Wild 2 could again be that marquee game this year, and then they'll show you the gameplay, and then it could either come out like end of year as like a Christmas game, or like very beginning of next year.
I could see it end of year this year. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. That honestly, if they dropped it, I would love Nintendo so much if they dropped it in the Smash Brothers window, like a Christmas window, so I could actually play it over Christmas and just be like, I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Is there
come back?
Is there anything else lined up for Nintendo that's a marquee franchise that for this year?
Right?
Well, I mean, so that's coming out. Yeah, that's coming out next month. But like anything that's slated for 2020, that's holiday that we know about.
Nothing like huge they've announced. Like there's obviously there's the things they've mentioned, like Bayonetta 3. They're still kind of expecting. I mean, Bayonetta 3 is obviously going to be awesome. It'll be big, but it's not like kind of Nintendo market.
Yeah,
in the
not a
same way.
Nintendo franchise specifically.
Yeah. So I think we're in that kind of weird void where like there's stuff it's kind of probably about that time they should announce like another Mario game, or like another like everything like that. But I don't.
Well, that's
think
why
there's
Breath of the Wild
really
2 might be it, actually. If it has all the things you're saying make complete sense. The engine's already there, the assets are there. They just have to make new content, new story, new stuff in that environment. So seems like that development timeline could be a lot more accelerated, and then they might have that ready, good to go for this fall.
And genuinely, if they can take the Breath of the Wild formula but put traditional style Zelda dungeons in it, like Ocarina style dungeons instead of the Guardian stuff,
that would be
slightly
amazing.
more cohesive, like a slightly more cohesive like story that's like told to you like in a little bit of a kind of more linear way, where you can still have the open world stuff. I'd say more iconic music, and then if you have all of that, you would I genuinely feel like if that happened and that came out, I would then be in a position to say this is the best Zelda game ever. Because
the greatest Zelda ever to be made.
Yeah, well, genuinely, because when Breath of the I've said this before, but like every time a new Zelda game comes out, I always compare it to Ocarina, which for me is the gold standard. And Breath of the Wild, that's my personal number one for like best Zelda game ever. And Breath of the Wild, in so many ways, beats Ocarina, but there's a few core things that it doesn't quite do. So there's something that just doesn't quite sit right in my soul. I can't say Breath of the Wild is better than Ocarina and it feel right. So I've still kind of put them basically like this. So it's like Ocarina is number one for me, and Breath of the Wild is so close, but not quite there. But if they did it, if they took a few of those things, and the other one thing that I kind of missed, like I liked the idea of Breath of the Wild where they gave you the slate at the beginning, which then gave you the sandbox nature of like you can work out how to solve things. But I do miss the traditional like go into a dungeon and you get the cool unique item from that dungeon
that unlocks other areas in the world that you couldn't go to before. Yeah. I feel you on that. I do miss that. Like I really enjoyed Breath of the Wild for the sandbox experience, but there is that ingredient of progression that is missing from it. That is, it's very Nintendo, early days.
I think there's a way you can. I think you can strike a balance because I like the because part of the reason they obviously did that with the Sheikah Slate was like, all right, we'll give you the tools, you play the game whatever order you want, and you can solve the puzzles in whatever way you want because it's like a physics sandbox. Mm-hmm. I like the idea of doing that, and they've done it with a few other Zelda games where it's like you can kind of play in the order you want, but I think that you could definitely strike a balance where it's like you can give some basic tools that allow you to kind of play the game in whatever way you want, but you still get signature items from dungeons so that you still feel like slightly more, you have that kind of thing that you feel like you've earned. So yeah, if they did that, best Zelda game ever.
That sounds amazing.
Got a dark setting, right? I mean, it's like from what they said, like in the interview, they said this is going to be more kind of in that sort of like Majora's Mask-y style, like dark, grim setting, which could be quite like Nintendo, for such a friendly, happy company, are surprisingly very good at making things really hella creepy.
Luigi's Mansion, hello.
Yeah, exactly.
Wario 64, what in the hell?
Exactly. Like Ocarina of Time, the zombies jumping on your back. Whew. That used to scare the hell out of me.
Yeah, definitely. Well,
as we're talking about all these Nintendo properties in the past, like if you talk about like the Wii and the Wii U, even going back to like the GameCube, it was only Nintendo properties that you got a Switch for, but the Switch has been really good for third-party stuff. Like a ton of the games I'm playing on Switch don't actually come from Nintendo, and that's the first time that's happened on a Nintendo console for me in quite a while.
Okay,
I think it's fit. Nintendo has always had like a way of finding a niche spot that they see that's kind of missing, and then sometimes they do a good job, sometimes they fail at it, but like when they do a really good job, like the Switch, it's a home run. And
yeah, definitely.
The only criticism I have of the Switch is the hardware that could be like a little bit more powerful for just slightly better looking games, or have games that
definitely
could be run at a little bit higher FPS. But aside from that, I think the Switch is an amazing console.
Yeah, a lot of people are really hoping for like a Switch Pro or an upgraded Switch, and but for some things, definitely would like to see that. For other things, like Blasphemous is one of my favorite games on the Switch right now, and
good.
It's perfect. It's just perfect. I'm trying to find a retail copy of that game. It's very rare.
Yeah, it's so annoying. It's because I only discovered the game like obviously like after you mentioned it, I bought it, downloaded it, and found that the company Limited Run did a physical version, but it's like they obviously sell out. So yeah, I was gutted.
So the only way I think to get it at this point is off of like eBay or something like that, and then somebody's gonna be charging an arm and a leg for it.
The eBay premium.
Yeah. Yeah, I hate, it's cool that limited run and like there's other companies that do that, is they do these like limited retail releases for otherwise downloadable only games. But man, they're so limited. Like they're so small, the runs. And like if you miss it by an hour, it's gone,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a few for like, I think I got like the Dead Cells one, like the Wargroove one, and like a few other ones. And actually, no, Wargroove wasn't limited run, but I think I did it for like that and like Hollow Knight or something. But yeah, I don't have too many of them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a good segue actually on Dead Cells. We need to talk about that. Finish your thought though, bro. Sorry to interrupt.
Hollow Knight got the treasure trove, I think, got a retail release in like GameSpot.
Nice.
But I've actually tried to pick it up, and all the GameSpots around me are sold out.
No way.
Yeah. Interesting.
Dang.
Anyhow,
Dead Cells, which is an amazing Switch title. They recently dropped an expansion last week for $5.
They did.
This is the first paid expansion.
Play it? I haven't played it yet. We talked about it a little bit last week, but I haven't played it yet.
Annoyingly, no. I downloaded it after speaking about it, and like it was there for my weekend. But then I downloaded 2 other games at the same time at the weekend, so so not yet.
I played it. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. They added new weapons. They added a new biome or a new progression path, which is tough.
Okay.
It's classic Dead Cells tough. Yeah, it's just great. Dead Cells is a fantastic game. For those who don't know, it's like Metroidvania rogue light type of game. So every time you play it, the levels get randomized, and then enemy variation changes, and certain weapons can drop. There's also rarities of weapons, so you can find like a legendary weapon with like a level 3 legendary throughout the game that could then carry you for your run. You can also increase the difficulties, all this stuff. Just baseline, it's a fantastic 8-bit looking side scroller that's done from an indie company that has been killing it with what they're doing. And so this is the first time dropping in a paid expansion, which is $5 and opens up this other path, a new world, new boss, new weapons to get. I had a lot of fun playing it. I played it for like 6 hours on stream, and I finally beat the boss at the end.
When you say it links opens up like a new path, like obviously look at it like the way Dead Cells used to play, does that link old path? Does that new path link in with like the old world map so you can just kind of go to it, or is it like can you go straight into the new path?
So you always start with that first cellar level, right? Where your character summons back from the dead, and then so instead of 2 paths, which is the ramparts and there's 2 paths from the base game. Ramparts and sewers or something like that. Sewers. Yeah. So there's those 2, and then the third one, which is the new area. I forget the name of the area, but so you can immediately go into the DLC area from that base world area, and then those additional. So there's 3 stages in that DLC world, and each one of those can branch off into previous base game level type of stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So does that mean if you finish the DLC new area, will it also then naturally bring you to the final boss again, like normal?
Yeah, but not final boss. It brings you to like the graveyard area,
which then goes into the final boss, right?
Yeah. Well, it goes graveyard, and then the castle area, and then the final boss.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. Cool. That's
King's Hand or whatever. Yeah. Yeah. It was really cool. Well done. Dead Cells is a beautiful looking game if you're into 8-bit animations and all that. So highly recommend it. Plus, it's a really cool development team that's been supporting the game, and they deserve it.
Yeah. I like the fact that you said that the way they've worked that DLC in, because it sounds like super organic. Because I think we mentioned before, like I played like Dead Cells before, and I absolutely loved it. But the one thing is, I still haven't technically speaking done the final boss. Like I got into like a slither of health one time, and then like I just didn't quite finish it. But the fact that I can now play the DLC and then still naturally get to the final boss means I might be able to do both in one thing.
Oh, for sure. So the thing with Dead Cells is once you beat the final boss on normal, you then unlock the boss cell, which then allows you to make the game hard. So if you didn't think the game was hard yet,
that's what that game needed. I was like,
get ready.
It was just too easy.
Yep.
Oh man, hard is like they limit your heals. They increase damage. Like it's nuts. And also that's just first boss level. It goes all the way up to 4, I believe. So you beat level 1 hard, and then you beat level 2 hard, and then 3 hard, and then 4 hard. But also it increases the chance of a legendary drops. His screen froze at an amazing time.
That is crazy. It looks like he's kissing it all.
That was an amazing point for your face to freeze.
That was my expression for like this game is like 4 times difficulty hard. It's like
if you're having a tough time with the normal difficulty, down the road.
I definitely have a tough time with the normal difficulty on that game, but it's so fun and like fluid and kinetic, and that 2D pixel art is so gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like it's a hard game, and I don't hope to finish it every time I play it, but when I play it, I always have a good time.
Yeah. Well, it's also
good.
It's not meant to be set up in a way where you're going to finish every single run successfully.
Right.
Because sometimes you just get shafted on your drops. You're like, well, this is unusable, so I'm not going to use this. But other times you get an incredible just synergy with your weapons, your traps, whatever. Like you get some crazy bow legendary thing with some insane perks on there, and you're just melting everything. And then you make a few mistakes and your run's over, and you're like, crap.
Which version of the game did you play, Jeff?
I played the PC one because that's what I had the most. Steam. That's what
progress on.
Yeah, most progress. Yep.
I might download this for the Switch. I wonder if they'll do a retail release for it, or if it'll just be a download only thing.
They did do a. I mean, well, I'm not sure for the DLC, but they did do a retail release for Switch.
The main game.
I bought them. I bought like the collector's edition for it, so it came with like that. It came with like a T-shirt and like pins and stuff, and it's really cool. Yeah.
When I was sick a few weeks ago, I played it on Game Pass on the Xbox.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was like whipping through it, and like Memes was watching. She's like, "Damn, this looks super fun." She was like, "I want to play." And she plays it, and she's like, "This is too hard."
Amazing.
I'm like into the boss, beating it. And I'm like, "Yeah, it's really cool." And she's like, "You make it look a lot easier."
How many hours do you think you have into that game? I'm sorry, Eric.
I don't know.
No, sorry, go ahead.
That's a good question. Like 50, maybe.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, what was the new? Because one of the things I saw from the trailer, there's like a new. Obviously, there's new weapons, but there also seems to be like some new like special ultimate ability. I saw in the trailer like he used like a huge scythe that kind of just like cleaved across the screen. Like what's that?
That's a weapon. That's not an ultimate. It's just a straight up weapon.
Oh.
Yeah, you can get like a Reaper scythe. Yeah, I didn't get it, but it's awesome. There's also a mushroom boy, like ability.
Okay.
So if you watch, it literally headbutts everything. Then you can actually tell it to kill itself.
This one makes you believe in God.
Only for the fun guys out there.
Mushroom Boy's amazing. At first, I was like, I don't know about this. It's also really unpredictable, but he basically summons a little mushroom sidekick that like headbutts everything. And there's a damage for the actual headbutt, and then there's also damage for if they hit a wall from the force of it.
Oh, okay.
So it'll stun and start smacking things really aggressively. And then in a last ditch effort, you can hit the trigger again to make it go kill itself on an enemy. And it does a really big attack.
Fair.
Yeah, but it also says like at the cost of your soul in the description. First, I was like, "What the? Is this gonna do some sort of death mechanic on me?" No, it's just you killed your friend, so it's the cost of your soul, your conscious.
And you can get costumes as well, can't you? I saw like different costumes in this one as well.
Yeah, there is new costumes. I don't know when they added the costumes, but there was like a free DLC that they did, I think, last summer. Something about the giants.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they've actually been adding stuff for free, and that's why I said this is the first time for a paid DLC for $5.
Yeah.
With a lot of good content.
That's cool.
I'm gonna play this tonight, I think.
You absolutely should.
Yeah.
There's another game though that came out of early access. I don't know how to pronounce it correctly. Wolcen?
Oh,
something. Yeah. It's Wolcen. I think it's Wolcen.
Yeah, the Diablo looking like ARPG thing, right?
Yes. It had a really rough launch. Well, so this is a game. It's an independent team. I think it's like less than 20 people, like 17 people, something like that, who've been making this game.
Okay.
And it was in early access for a long time, and it finally came out last week out of early access. And if you've been looking for a Diablo fix that really like scratches it really well, and let's say you're not a fan of Path of Exile, but you still want that Diablo itch scratched.
Yeah,
this game really scratches it in a good way. Oh yeah, definitely. I played it on, I think it was Friday, And again, the servers have taken a huge dump, so they've been fixing that.
Okay.
Actually,
You got to be online to play.
no, there's an offline mode, but your character doesn't transfer. So the saving
Oh.
grace is that you could still play it, but your character wouldn't transfer to online. So bummer on that, but you could still play the game and see how it feels and see if you like it. And for a action RPG game, this is really amazing. They've done a fantastic job. Again, small indie team, just came out of early access, and it's unfortunate they had such a rough launch because I know a lot of people were upset, be like, I want my money back, god damn it, blah blah blah. I can't play my character, all this stuff. And it's like, I get it. That does suck. You spent $40 and you can't play with your friends. But you got to cut them some slack. They're a
Have
small
you
team.
not been like paying attention to like launches of video games for the past 20 years though? Like what did you expect?
Right? Yeah. So I got to play it. It's just great. What's different is there's no classes in this game. So you don't pick like a barbarian or a wizard or whatever, and you're locked into that. Like what?
Okay.
Yeah. What happens is you get to pick a base skill to begin with and a base weapon, and the weapon and the skills that you have are linked in that sense. So if you use a bow, you'll be able to shoot arrows, obviously, for your main attack. But then there will be like arrow associated abilities that you can have. You know, so like rain a cloud of arrows.
By playing.
Yeah, as you use those abilities, they level up, and you can also reacquire those abilities and new abilities throughout the field, which then turn into like ability points that you then spend or to level up. Sorry, ability points is the wrong term, but it's like a currency to level up those skills. Skills is a better term for that. So there's a ton of them, absolute ton of skills in the game. If you're using a staff, you'll then be able to have magic abilities. You can get like a pistol, shoot guns. The melee abilities are like, think barbarian type of stuff where you leap in and slam in the ground and all that. And again, I definitely did not see all the abilities, but there's a ton of them. The magic abilities are great. And then the skill tree, the actual passive skill tree, could make you nauseous.
Really? Why is that?
When you start out, you're like, oh, this is interesting. You pan out, bigger. It's not as big as Path of Exile, but there's 3 rings and they rotate. So you could rotate the skill tree to make your own like connection.
Whoa.
Yeah, it kind of breaks your brain when that's going on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does it feel to play? Because here's the thing, right? So I've played like quite a lot of those ARPGs before, right? And like Diablo's one, the one that I still to this day hold as like the gold standard is Lost Ark, which is obviously still isn't out because of the feedback you get. And the reason I've never wanted to play Path of Exile is all the gameplay I've ever seen looks like people cutting through paper.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate it when you play these games where, like, obviously you want to kind of kill like hordes of enemies, but I hate it when you play these games and you literally blitz through the dungeon. You're like slash, dead, and it's like I got no feedback from that. Like, what's the feedback like on the kind of?
Sure. Well, in beginning leveling, there's always more feedback because it's more balanced towards you having to kill enemies.
Yeah.
The problem is when you get to end game on these type of games, inevitably you start cutting through paper because you become so damn powerful.
True.
You know what I mean?
I guess it's more the animations. Like, I guess it's more sort of like because when I look at like because every time people used to say, oh, you should definitely play Path of Exile if you like these, and I watched the animations for them, and it just like no matter where they were, it just looked kind of just like.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
Yeah.
This game feels really weighted. Like when I do an attack with an axe, I feel like I'm slamming with an axe. When I'm shooting like magic or using electricity, there's a feeling that the animations kick in to make it feel like you're actually electrocuting enemies.
That's nice.
It's tough to describe exactly what that is, what makes it happen, but it's there in the game.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time it's normally like the hit lag because it's the same sort of thing I said with like Lost Ark. It's like it sounds weird to say feedback because obviously if you're playing mouse and keyboard you have no feedback, you have no rumble. But it's like, but when you play Lost Ark, I think the nature of the animations and the fact that like when you hit something, there's kind of a slight hit lag where like you feel like your weapon is dragging through the enemy. That's what I like in these games. Whereas when it's just like I just poked him and he died, it's like. But yeah, this looks really nice.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. If you're looking for an action RPG game to dump some time into, this would definitely be it. Yeah.
Is there controller support on this?
I don't know. I'm guessing no, because again, it's a small indie team that's putting this together, and they basically spent all weekend working on the servers to get them back up. The servers are up now, so you can actually jump in and make an online character and start playing. but a lot of people are asking, is it coming to a console? Like, I wouldn't expect it to come to consoles until maybe a big publisher steps in to help them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. The graphics are phenomenal. Like
It looks really nice.
looks
Like, yeah.
nice.
Yeah, visually, it's very appealing. If you're into Diablo, like this feels like a successor to Diablo 2 and how it would look. Actually, it looks kind of like what Diablo 4 is summing up to look like, only it's now out and released right now. You can play it right now. And again, what's different is that there's no classes in the game. So whatever you pick, you'll be able to shift. Like if you want to suddenly be a mage, no problem. Just start equipping those skills and those weapons to be able to use those proper skills or those abilities. You would have to respec your passives to be the most efficient. And that does get expensive, but the option's still there. You're not locked into just being a barbarian if you picked a barbarian.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
Is there a guy with a giant sword or a giant hammer?
You can get giant hammers and giant axes. Yes. You can get two-handed claymores. They feel great. I ended up getting two. It goes also for items. You know, it starts like basic garbage to magic items to rare items that are yellow. Then it goes legendary and then uniques. Purples are like uniques.
Oh.
Yeah. Legendaries, I think, are brown, orange. Yeah. I actually didn't see a legendary, but I saw 3 uniques for me. I ended up getting 2 unique rings that increase my melee damage by 50%, but slow down my attack speed. I got 2 of them by happenstance. So I equipped that and then equipped a claymore. Yeah, it's stacked. I equipped a claymore and it was like... but it hit hard.
Yo, that's cool. That's I'm looking at like gameplay for this. And like, yeah, this is 100. Like, I love those games. I love like Diablo, Lost Ark and stuff. And like this looks like Well, I feel like for this one, I might like wait for like a few more weeks till like things have settled down and then like the stuff is just like stable, and then I can see myself jumping in. Because at the moment I'm just like, there's so much going on. It's like I don't want to go to jump on and be like, oh, the server's down again. So I'll give them a few weeks and then maybe I'll jump in.
I just found their FAQ too, and controller support is coming, but they say either in the first or second free content patch, so up to 6 months from now.
Okay.
So I like playing these games with controllers.
Sure.
Which is weird, but I do like playing them with controllers. Like Diablo 3 didn't click to me until it came out on PlayStation 4, and I played it with a controller, and then I just fell in love with it.
Sure. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Oh, there's crazy powers as well. You can transform into things. Woo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't unlock that yet, so I'm not even that far.
Okay.
Well, the thing is, I got to like the first boss of Act 1, and again, it was offline, and I was like, well, I'm probably going to want to play this online, so I don't know how much investment I want to do in that character that's offline. And then the servers were like, we're going to be offline again, and then another day offline again. I was like, I'm just going to take the weekend off, Valentine's weekend, hang out with memes. But I'm thinking today, going to jump in with a online character.
You undersold this skill tree.
Did I?
I've just seen it.
Brian, did you see it turn?
Oh my God.
Did you see? I'm telling you that I said it blew my brain. I was like, oh my God. I said it induced nausea.
Yeah, I can see it.
The Gates of Fate. That looks awesome.
It's impressive, man. Like that whole concept of spinning the skill tree to create like your own build. Like,
So right now it's PC only. No word on a console release. But wow, it's called. Is it Wolfen? Is that how you say it? It's Wolcen.
I think Wolcen.
Okay. Lords of Mayhem is the subtitle. It might be easier to just look up Lords of Mayhem if you're looking for it.
Yeah, it's $40. It's $40 on Steam right now. And again, it's an indie development team. Just came out of early access. If you're into these games, they've done a phenomenal job.
Oh, the gear system looks awesome as well. So I just scrolling through the stuff on the website. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah.
Oh. Phenomenal.
But you know what, right? You know what, right? So if in the meantime the server's not cutting it, but you really want that ARPG fix, allow me to tell you about a game called Snack World.
Snack World.
Go on. I like snacks.
The snack attack.
See, Snack World, right? Snack World is set in the kingdom of Tutti Frutti, right? I kid you not, right? And it's this charming little game, right? I actually bought it in Japan last year when I was there, but I never got around to playing it. And they finally came out in the West. It's developed by Level 5, and it's on Nintendo Switch, and it's basically this charming little like cartoony sort of we don't know what ARPG, like kind of isometric style dungeon crawler. So you go into these dungeons, they're all randomly generated. It has tons of loot, tons of gear. You can play as, you have these little kind of like trinkets that you have on your character, which are basically like, if you imagine, you know, the kind of the little accessories that you attach to your phone on, like in like Japan, those sort of little like things that hang on your phone. They're kind of like that. But then when you go into the world, they can become big. So they basically become like your little sort of trinkets that can become your weapons, like swords and axes and shields and magic staffs and stuff. And then you can equip like 6 of these at one time. So like in the middle of dungeons, you could be swapping between like axes and swords. And like combat wise, it's pretty basic. You have like your basic attacks. You have like a special magic ability or a couple of magic abilities like tied to a weapon. So you might have like a spin attack for a sword or like a slam attack for the axe. It's got multiplayer. It's got online multiplayer. It's got and then what else is there? It's got character creator, so you can create your own character. You can be bald. You can have a beard. You can make your dude like a swole dude. Right? It was great. And they even have a separate system for stat-based gear and your cosmetic gear. So if you want to go and style it up and look cool, you can also do that. I think there's over like 250 different weapons, over about 300 pieces of gear. And basically it's just like a little kind of like fun dungeon crawler. But you know what's nice about it, right? Is that sort of fun, simple, addictive kind of gameplay that you would expect of like a mobile game that would then be filled with predatory microtransactions. Only it's got the nice addictive natures of like being a easy mobile game, but without all the monetization. It's just quite fun. It's a super simple. I mean, obviously, if you were to put Wolcen and this side by side, it's not quite going to hold a candle to it. But
what platform is this again?
Nintendo Switch.
Nintendo Switch. Okay, nice.
It's called Snack World, and it's great. It's great. I mean, I've only just started, and I'm playing more of it this week. So I'll probably do like a video on it like at the end of the week once I've got like a week's worth of gameplay into it. But it's just like one of those like fun, charming little games. It's not revolutionary. It's not anything crazy, but it's just fun. It kind of taps into that like loot. If you play, because a lot of the time you play these games because you're just like, I just like loot, and there's a lot of loot in it, a lot of things to pursue. There's crafting in it. There's like item fabrication and stuff. So all those kind of tropes that you associate with these games and the things that ultimately keep us playing is in this game, in a very sort of like fun, cartoony, childish package. So yeah,
Snack World, the dungeon crawl.
Yeah, I'm watching video of this, and I'm seeing a complete lack of delicious snacks in the gameplay footage, and I don't get it.
When do you unlock Butterfingers?
Yeah, where are the Cheetos?
The perfect combination, basically, for this weekend would be to download Snack World and play it while the Wolcen servers are offline, and then when they go back online, play that.
There you go.
Yeah. There you go. Right, you get double games.
I like it. I'm gonna have to check this out as like a Switch on the go game.
It collected Switch physical cartridges.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun to do, you know. Instead of downloading everything, it's kind of nice to like have physical copies of games again that you know are gonna work in 10 years.
I agree.
When your Switch dies and the Switch servers go down, you'll still have you'll still have like the physical copy of a cartridge, you know.
Yeah, I used to try and buy physical for like everything, but then like now I'm just like, I don't care about Xbox and PS4 titles, and like digital, that's fine. But yeah, like I mean, like you, I'm just like Switch ones wherever I can. I try to buy them physically.
Yeah.
Nice.
At PC, it's almost impossible to buy physical versions of it anymore. Like,
when's the last time? Right? It's been years.
What would happen if Steam went offline?
Yikes! Pandemonium.
Right? The nerds would be angry.
Well, they're already angry. Like that would, I think we'd have a revolution on our hands.
Yep.
The nerds are perennially angry.
True.
But yeah, it's like, you know, you don't have physical versions of any Steam games, obviously, really any PC games for the last 10 years, I'd say. Xbox and PS4 are hit or miss.
My internet's really strong, but there is a few times, like usually once a month, there is a 2 a.m. moment where they do some sort of maintenance and it goes offline for like 15 minutes. And suddenly I'm thinking, crap, I watch things on Netflix. I can't access Netflix. And I'm like, oh, wait, I could hook up my phone to my TV. I could do that, have it like hotspot it, you know? off of there, and I'm like, my mind starts jumping through all these hoops and thinking, what do I do without internet?
Yeah,
it's weird.
you know, like on a game preservation, like tip is like, you know, you're never gonna play the original version of Destiny 2 again, right? It's like how that game launched. You're never gonna do that. It's not available.
Bummer,
to you.
right?
Yeah, any downloadable games. There's a version of Contra that's beloved that came out on the Wii, and it only was released through the virtual console or the virtual. Was that what it was called on the Wii?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
If you didn't download it before they turned off that server, it's just gone. You can't get it unless you buy a Wii that has it on it, right? You just can't get it.
Huh.
You know, and it's a well-loved version of Contra, and it only came out on the Wii. It's never been released on anything else, and it was only sold through the Wii store.
Interesting.
You know, so like, you know, in a world like that, or how many games come out, but you gotta immediately download a day one patch. You know, will that day one patch still be available to you 10 years down the road? Like, if you want to go back and play that game, you know,
probably not.
I want to play Last of Us 2 in 15 years because it was such an amazing experience. But there was a day one patch that fixed like half of the game.
Yeah,
like,
true.
So are you ever going to play it again?
It's an interesting problem.
Yeah.
I also like, you know, I also like super appreciate. I know they're massively limited in the grand scheme of things, but I really do appreciate cartridges more than I do discs. Right? Like, I think to myself, like, I jump between my Switch and my Switch Lite anyway. And just this weekend, I was like, oh, you know what? I forgot I hadn't installed Breath of the Wild on my Switch Lite, and I was like, I've got like my save file that I like to kind of pop into from time to time, and it was literally like cartridges in, games ready to go. I'm just like, this is great. This is
I didn't even realize. Does your game save to the cartridge?
No. I mean, you say the game save is in the cloud, but the fact that it's like, oh, I haven't installed this big sizable game on my Switch. It's like pop cartridge in, okay, game's ready to go. I'm like,
yeah,
what the hell? Even on like PlayStation, it's like, okay, cool, need to install the thing from the disc. It's still like, okay, I'll be back in like half an hour. Like, it's great. It's great.
Yeah,
I love cartridges forever.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah,
I have like you know, you can download every like game known to man. You know, up until like, you know, the N64 days, even past that, like you can download, like if you were to download every NES game ever made, you can do that.
Just throw it on an SD card.
Satisfying about having like the cartridge and like chucking it in, like that's part of the experience of an NES is like sticking it into your NES or sliding it into the side loading one. And then having the
it doesn't load, so you have to like blow it to like get it to work.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Exactly. Don't blow your cartridges, people. That just makes them dirtier. You get like spitting shit all over them.
Was that not the technique?
That was the technique because we didn't know any better. But man, we were fucking up our cartridges and our consoles. Yeah,
but it worked every time.
Yeah, it worked
every time.
What would it do?
Therefore, by science, it worked. Yeah.
Yeah. What would it do?
Normally, if I get a cartridge, the first thing I do when I get home is I clean it with isopropyl alcohol. And if that doesn't work, I'll try something a little more crazy. But usually isopropyl alcohol will do 99%.
So not blowing into it.
No.
You go to a retro store and be like, what are you doing?
I don't know if you want to put your mouth anywhere near anything you get at a retro store.
That's a good point. Yeah.
You want to do a pretty thorough cleaning of anything you bring home from there.
That actually reminds me, like when I went through. So when I was younger, like I on the N64, I had like the first time we ever got Smash Brothers on N64, we borrowed it from like my brother's friend. So I went through, I unlocked all the characters, and then eventually he wanted the cartridge back. So I was like, all right, we kind of gave it back. But then I missed having Smash Brothers. So I remember at the time going to like the local game store to try and buy one, and I had to go through 3 copies. I bought the first, and these were stupidly expensive at the time. It cost like £70, and I didn't even have that much money as a kid. But it was like, so I bought that one, and the first one came back, it didn't work. And then when I looked inside, like the actual cartridge bit had like green mold on it. I'm just like, what the hell?
Green mold.
And then I had to go back and I went through like two different versions, and then finally I got a cartridge that worked. I was like, okay, cool. And then you had to unlock all the characters again because obviously it's saved to the cart.
Have you guys ever seen the videos where people like usually they're almost silent videos. They're almost like ASMR videos, but it's somebody who's like restoring something back to original condition. Like they're guys fixing stuff, and they'll get something that's all beat up, and they'll just spend a half an hour, or the video will be a half an hour, usually silent, no talking in the video, of them just like using a screwdriver to take it apart and then cleaning out everything inside of it. Maybe polishing it up on a polishing wheel, and just restoring stuff.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen one of those? I recently found a guy who does it for retro consoles and retro like game controllers, and I wish I could remember the guy's name. I can't remember it off the top of my head. But like he found a super, I think it was a Super Nintendo that was filled with fucking yogurt.
What the hell?
But he fixed it. He did a great job on a Game Boy Color. Like it was just really fun to watch.
That's amazing.
Does he replace chips and stuff? Does he get different?
He does some soldering, like if something needs to be repaired. I haven't seen him replace any chips on the board. But like he did an Xbox where he took off the heat sinks and redid all that. And he did a Game Boy where the power wasn't going through, so he had to put new wires on because the traces on the board were shot.
Yeah.
He'll really replace LCD screens on a Game Boy and put new membrane under the buttons so that it has that original feel.
The squish.
Yeah. Yeah, those things get clapped out so that that silicone membrane under the buttons that gives it that feel.
Mm-hmm.
It'll break down over time, and so your old like NES or Super Nintendo controllers, your old Game Boy, it doesn't feel the same as it did when it was new.
Right.
But you can buy reproductions of those and make it feel like it's new again.
It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff is. I mean, it's super nerdy, but if I find it incredibly relaxing to just watch somebody like fix something.
Yeah. I went down that path actually when I picked up a reel-to-reel from it was like a 1970s reel-to-reel. There was a little problem with it, and so I decided to go on YouTube, and I went down the path of looking at a whole bunch of repair videos, and I found a bunch of them like that, of people just taking things apart, looking through the electronics, fixing stuff, restoring it, applying oil.
Yeah.
It's good.
Just making something that's old like brand new again.
Yeah, or it's assessing the damage,
Yeah. I don't know. There's something very useful about that. It's like, those things that. So it's funny. Something that's brand new has value to it. Something that's like one generation out of being like up to date loses value very quickly. But then like 20 years ago, like 20 years later, it'll become like retro, and all of a sudden it has its value again.
Yep. Strange.
Like
right?
your Switch right now has value because it's brand new. When they come out with the Switch 2, it'll lose all value. But then 20 years from now, you'll be like, oh man, the Switch was so good. I want to like play that again.
A brand new Switch.
Sure.
Can I get one?
Right.
Yeah.
How long does something need to be out for you to classify as retro? For example, right now, the PS2 is still not really a retro console, right?
Boy, it's getting there.
Yeah, when would you consider the PS2 a retro console?
Yeah.
What year did it come out?
2005,
I'm not sure.
2004.
Was it 2005? I have to look this up right now.
When did
PS2?
The original PlayStation came out in like 96 or 97, right?
2000. Prior.
2000?
March 2000. Yeah. I was like,
boy, I feel like it's right now, 20 years. I feel like it's maybe we use the classic car. You can get classic plates for an old car in America when it's 25 years old.
Yeah.
So maybe we use that rule. 25.
25 years. So it's got 5 years to go.
Everybody talks at the same time.
Sorry, go ahead.
So you're saying 25 years for this?
I think so. I think that's fair.
It's 5 years out.
Yeah, I mean that's because it's weird when you sort of think about certain things like certain times because it's like PS1 and sort of N64, right? It's like I mean they are, but I almost don't consider N64 retro yet. It sounds weird to say. Like I think NES and SNES retro, Sega Master System retro, like Commodore 64, like all those ones. But like even like a PS1 and N64, and just like I see it like as like an old console.
Yeah,
I don't know. Is it retro yet? Who knows?
I don't know.
Is it?
It's hard for some reason. Those early 3D games are also really hard to go back to. Harder than like the 2D stuff was.
Turok, the dinosaur hunter, and Nintendo 64.
Like even 007, everybody holds 007 GoldenEye in like, a hollowed state, right? Everybody loved that game when it was new. But if you go back and try and play that, it is rough. It's hard to go back to. Like it looks like garbage. You can emulate it so it has high resolution, which helps, but the controls are super fucked up. And
yeah.
The textures are just so ancient.
It's pretty funny.
True.
Yeah, I don't know.
You can go back to a 16-bit cartridge and you're like, oh, this still looks awesome.
Well,
that's
the 16 8-bit art style has like it's stylized. It has a specific feel to it, and 3D graphics were still trying to come into their own. Yeah, like that's the rub, is that the 3D graphics are trying to create a reality that's better and better and better, and today it's getting better and better and better, and sometimes that magic and mystery is missing because the graphics are so good on certain games. Whereas you can go back to Metroid Prime, or Metroid, Super Metroid, or Link to the Past, and you can have specific feelings happen because your brain is like recreating the things in your mind, thinking of the stuff that's represented on screen.
Yeah, it's also hand-drawn art, which I think is different than polygon art.
Well, I mean, a lot of polygon art is hand-drawn as well, with painting, like the painting and all that, texture maps and all that stuff is
that's true.
Highly detailed.
I definitely think when it comes to going back to games, I definitely think it's like your ability to go back to certain games. Like, I mean, not all of them. Like sometimes, as you say, like weirdly, like some of the 8-bit and 16-bit ones are easy to pick up even if you didn't play them before. But I feel like certain games, like to go back to them. So like I was talking about Ocarina of Time being my favorite game. Like I can still go back and play that and still love it to this day. But if someone had never played Ocarina of Time, for them it would be weird. It's the same thing as like I had this kind of conversation recently, like because I said on Twitter, I was like, "Oh, I'm looking forward to the Final Fantasy VII remake because I've never played Final Fantasy VII." And some people are like, "Oh, would you consider going back and doing a playthrough of the old one?" I'm like, I wouldn't want to because I don't have the nostalgia that attached me to that game. So I personally wouldn't be able to appreciate Final Fantasy VII for what it was at the time. I would just be like, "This is clunky. This is slow. This is a bad game." So I feel like for you to be able to go back, you almost need to have that nostalgia link to let you bring back the memories, and then you kind of forget that it's older. So
it's pretty. I don't know if it's a rumor or if Sony has actually said, but like my impression is that the PlayStation 5 is going to have backward compatibility for like every PlayStation before it.
That would be nuts.
All I've heard is PS4, but if it did every single one, that would be nuts.
I mean, emulation for the PlayStation 1 and 2 is out there for PCs, so it's definitely a doable thing. And like, if they do something like with what Xbox does, where they actually like they improve those games by running them in emulation, like higher res, and stuff like that, that could be a really cool thing for PlayStation fans. Who a lot of them will still have like their PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 collection, but being able to throw them into a PlayStation 5 and get high res graphics. The textures are still going to look shitty, but looking at polygons in like on the PlayStation 1, man, especially like if you plug it into an HDMI TV, it's tough. It looks tough. It's not easy on the eyeballs.
Some low end technology right there.
If you can high resify that stuff, I mean, it makes some of those classic titles pretty fun again.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, speaking of PS5, this is side note of that stuff. Did you guys see how they're trying to figure out the price and struggling?
No, what's going on there?
It's like it's probably a rumor, somebody who is connected in some way to it, but apparently they're trying to figure out the price because like the raw cost is somewhere around $480 right now for the PS5.
Okay. That's their cost to manufacture it,
cost to actually make one of these things. Which that's not unheard of because historically they've taken like either extremely low profit or no profit at all, or a loss with initial console launches. So it's kind of par for the course. I'm not surprised that all the things that they want to put into the system is going to cost them basically the cost of the unit. But you have like you got shipping costs, you got retail costs. Like the people selling it have to make a profit, otherwise they're not just gonna like hand over product for free in Best Buy or Amazon or whatever. So it's interesting. Like, how much of a loss are they going to take on selling the PS5, or are they going to commit console suicide? Go with $650.
That's the thing. I don't think it's a really weird. I don't think they can do that because it's a really weird position. Because at launch, as it is, like the percentage of people that actually buy consoles on day one on launch is it'd be interesting to sort of see the numbers, but it's probably actually quite small in the grand scheme of things. Like, you know, you think about everyone that plays games. Like, I don't think, you know, there's probably a very small percentage of that are literally there day one with their cash in hand, ready to go. Because, you know, like it's like that initial adoption. Like a lot of people are just like, especially if they find out that you can play, I don't know, some of the newer games on PS4, they'll be like, well, I'm going to stick here for a little bit anyway. So I feel like you have to sell consoles. I mean, Microsoft has, I think, historically always done it. You always have to sell consoles that are lost to begin with, because it's just like you just need to get it in people's houses, and then eventually it'll start to recoup those losses. But like, yeah, if they're focused on just like trying to make a profit right out the door, then £600 for a console. I mean, sure, we pick it up, but like for a lot of people, you know, you think like little Timmy for Christmas is like, hey, mum, can I have a £600 PS5? She's like, no, jog on.
That is not easy money for most people.
No,
not at all.
No, definitely not.
And I don't. There's never historically been a console that launches at that price and stays at that price. The PlayStation 3 started at that price, but by the time it got successful, it was actually much cheaper.
Yeah, remember that whole like mock video that was sort of like the Sony's announcement, and they were like $599 and it's like, yikes.
Aspirational. They call it aspirational.
Yeah.
They stood on a stage in front of real people and said it's aspirational. Like you might want to get a second job to buy a video game console.
So that came out in 2006. November 2006 was the PS3 release.
Yeah. In today's dollars, that was actually $715.
Crazy, right?
Did you?
Yeah.
I need to find that video. Did you ever see that like the Super Cup video they did at the 2006 conference? Where
yes, I have watched it.
Yeah, they were like next generation graphics, like this brand new game, never before seen mechanics. Flip over the crap and attack his weak point for massive damage.
That press conference was weird for a lot of reasons, right? They were showing videos of games that was, clearly the game footage was not representative of the game's final product.
Yeah,
you know, the aspirational, the huge price, like the console was being shown in silver. It never came out in silver, or it wasn't launched in silver.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. Again, if the raw cost is $450, they still have to mark this up to be able to have the dealers make some money.
Yeah.
So
even the Xbox One launched at $500, and that was not really a success at launch.
Right. Yeah. I imagine if they didn't have Halo, what would have happened? Right?
No, I'm not talking about the Xbox. Fuck it. Okay, from now on, I'm going to call it the original Xbox, the Xbox 360, the Xbox 2, the Xbox One, the Xbox 3, and the next Xbox, the Xbox 4. I'm doing it to avoid confusion for the rest of the time. It's fucking ridiculous. Their naming policies are so goddamn confusing that anytime you have a conversation about an Xbox that isn't the current Xbox, everybody gets confused. So the Xbox is the original Xbox. Xbox 2, Xbox 360, Xbox 3, Xbox One. Xbox 4 is whatever the fuck the next one's called.
Sounds good.
I'm doing it. But
can Intel also start, condensing their numbers for their i7s and all that?
Their new processor is called like the 10980 or something. Like, how am I supposed to remember that?
What the crap, man? Come on.
Whatever. Yeah, but the Xbox 3 came out at $500 with the Kinect in it, and it was like nobody wanted to pay $500 for a console. And the PlayStation 4 came out at $400. It was $100 less and more powerful.
Yeah.
If they're having trouble pricing out the PS5, imagine how hard it is to price out the Xbox 4, because that, by all reports, is much more powerful hardware.
Thing is, Microsoft is historically been in a position where they can actually take the loss and cover it. Or Sony, I don't know. Sony, like a lot of aspects of Sony has been struggling aside from their PlayStation department.
Yeah, That's the profit leader, right?
Yeah.
Of all of Sony is the PlayStation division.
Sony depends on the PlayStation division, where a lot of their other parts are struggling, where Microsoft is like, where do we put all this money that we make? It's too much.
Yeah, I can relate.
True. Also, I think it kind of comes to like it's like business practices and stuff like that. It's very sort of like, I think a lot of the time Japanese companies, they look at things very much like on a specific just sort of number basis. They'll be like, oh, you know, we need to make profit out the door. Whereas like, you know, because you look at it sort of like the way they've kind of done it in the past, and it's just, it might be like old fashioned business practices that are trying to hold them back. They'll be like, no, we must definitely do this. And it's like, maybe you should think about it sensibly before you try and shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Well, they make their money off of subscriptions. PlayStation Live, Xbox Live. If Netflix is any indicator, the subscription model is a huge profit system.
Yeah.
So that's where they need to that's where they will actually make their money. But the question is, how much of a loss are they willing to take? Because anything over $500 is going to be tough to stomach for a lot of gamers. Although things are changing again, like somebody in chat had mentioned $1,000 iPhones, and I really think that consoles are going to go the way of 2-year financed electronics.
Yeah. I mean, you can some game stores actually already do like offer finances for consoles and stuff anyway. So
Microsoft does it in the States where you can sign up for their service, and there isn't actually an upcharge. They're basically giving you a monthly fee that includes the Xbox Live service, the Xbox, what is it called where you can play all the games?
Cloud? xCloud?
No.
Game Pass.
Game Pass.
Sorry.
It includes Game Pass and an actual hardware console. And they say that when the Xbox 4 comes out, you'll be able to upgrade to the Xbox 4.
Right. Yeah.
And it's the pricing works out so that you're not actually paying more for the Xbox console than you would retail, like if you just bought it. Like they're not charging like finance fees or anything.
Right. Yeah.
That's decent.
So a lot of phone companies, like Verizon and all that, they do this where 2 years, no interest, pay off your whatever phones, in addition to having your subscription. So I really think it's going to go that way, because I don't think they're going to wait another 6, 7, 8 years to have another console refresh.
The power of technology is just moving so fast. Do you want a game console that's less powerful than the phone in your pocket? I want one that's more powerful. I mean,
it's pretty crazy.
And yeah, it's going to cost a lot. And if it costs too much, then the risk they have is that it won't sell enough to make it a viable console for people to develop games for.
Right.
And then everybody's fucked. All right. So when I looked up how much the consoles cost in the past, I actually found a list of all the consoles and how much they cost when they were released and how much that is in today's dollars. So I'm going to ask you guys, what do you guys think is the most expensive console ever released if you convert to today's dollars? So obviously, if it came out in 1970, the inflation over that time.
I'm gonna go with the 3DO, the Panasonic 3DO.
Oh, I wasn't thinking that far back. I was always going to say like PS1, because by that time they're suddenly making the jump to disc. Potentially, maybe.
The PlayStation came out in 1995 at a price of $299. In today's dollars, it's $472.
Wow.
Okay.
So that's right in the price range, which you're talking for a PlayStation 5. Converted.
True.
Tefty, you were right. I was actually surprised by this because I thought the Neo Geo would be it.
The Panasonic 3DO?
Yeah, the 3DO
that thing was like
correct.
$600.
It came out at $699.
$699, yeah.
In 1993, converted to today's dollars, it's $1,165. It beats out the Neo Geo by less than $20, which came out in 1991 at $649.
I remember that thing being super pricey and being like, I'm never going to play Samurai Showdown at home. It's not going to happen.
Oh, that's not true. You can totally play it at home right now.
As a kid.
Only a few clicks away.
As a kid, going to the arcade, I was like, this is never going to be in my house, is it?
Yeah. Even collecting it now is super expensive. Like the cartridges. At the time, the cartridges, you paid $650 for the console, but the cartridges cost $200 a pop. At the time, in 1991.
It's the cost of like a Nintendo. It's crazy.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God.
I gotta say, those games look stupendous.
Yeah.
Still, like you play Metal Slug or Metal Slug 2, and it's insane how good they look, and they play great too. The problem with the Neo Geo is it's just absolutely saturated with fighting games that I don't care about.
I like.
So
those
I would
games,
never
though.
actually like collect it. Yeah, but like, do you need like
Great.
10 versions of King of Fighters?
No,
Yes,
definitely don't need that.
Definitely.
Oh man.
But a game like Magician Lord or Metal Slug, or there's a ton of games that are really fun on there that aren't fighting games. But boy, you're getting into some pricey territory if you want to collect those things.
So back to the most expensive console ever. Yeah, that was a flop, right?
Yeah, I mean the 3DO was a huge flop.
Yeah.
For several reasons though, not just the price. There were no games for it. It didn't look that much better than the other consoles that were around. It was a contemporary. Let's see, the Atari Jaguar came out the same year. The PlayStation and Sega Saturn came out 2 years later. And the Sega Saturn and PlayStation cost $299 and $399.
The Sega Saturn was $399.
Yeah. So funny thing is when Sega announced the Sega Saturn live on stage at E3, a PlayStation employee, a Sony employee, stood up at the podium and just said into the microphone, $299, and then sat back down.
What?
Yeah. So Sega announced it's we're releasing it now. It's out there. It's $399. We're all excited, and fucking Sony comes and fucking bursts their balloon live on stage at E3.
That is amazing.
Their console wasn't released until that fall.
Wow.
But it was $100 cheaper.
Remember the Virtua series? They had like Virtua Fighter, Virtua Racer.
Virtua Fighter. Virtua Fighter 2 I really loved. I didn't actually like Virtua Fighter.
Yeah.
And Virtua Racing was incredible. I remember Sega Rally, which was kind of like not one of the Virtua series, but kind of an offshoot of that for the Dreamcast, was one of my favorite games of all time.
I remember that game. Yeah, that's funny.
The Dreamcast, man. I miss the Dreamcast.
Right. Was there anything else this week? I'm sure there was. I feel like Watts is in chat. She had mentioned Bleeding Edge as well. I don't know. We're probably gonna have to pick that up.
We could always save Bleeding Edge for when Watts is back next week, right? And I think we could always talk Outriders next week when Watts is here, because didn't Watts get to play Outriders 2?
I don't know. Maybe.
I think she mentioned that she may have as well. So maybe we'll save that one for when the whole game's back, because I think that would be a good one to talk about.
Oh, she did play it. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's do that. Let's save that for when the return of the Watts.
Yes. So next week we'll talk Bleeding Edge and Outriders.
I heard she's getting an upgrade. She's gonna be 6,000 watts.
Wow.
Whoa.
That's where she was today. Getting upgrades.
She's getting upgrades.
And I'll give you an update on Snack World next week, because I would have played more Snack World by then.
Excellent. That sounds great.
There you go.
I want to hear about the snacks, man. There better be some snacks.
There we go. Kingdom of Tutti Frutti.
Is there legendary, unique snack loot?
There better be. I hope there should be. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that's SideQuest, right?
I think so. SideQuest complete.
Bring. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Appreciate it. If you're tuning in live or on YouTube or in the podcast syndications, and whether or not you're a Patreon supporter or just chilling, thank you very much, guys. Appreciate all the support. If you want to find more of me, you can talk to me at Teft and catch my streams, twitch.tv/TeftyTeft.
And if you want to find me, I'll be in the Kingdom of Tutti Frutti this week, playing Snack World. Finding my snacks.
Is it really called the Kingdom of Tutti Frutti?
It's called the Kingdom of Tutti Frutti. That's where I'll spend my week. So I'll catch you next week.
That's amazing. I'm Briar Rabbit. If you want to talk, we can talk on Twitter at the Briar Rabbit.
Cool. All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.